12 players have played in the NBA that have come from Britain. I mean, notable ones that we think of, the All-Star Luol Deng, former Sixth Man of the Year, Ben Gordon, and now most recent and the only active player that is playing in the NBA, OG Anunoby. Look, I remember speaking to him at the finals last season in Toronto, and one thing I hugely respect about him, he appreciates the huge introvert. But at the same time, he loves the legacy and support that he gets from being the only British player in the league. So with that title of being Britain's only active player in the NBA, we have to appreciate it. But at the same time, if we're looking at his NBA legacy now, we have to add something else to his title. And that is now NBA champion.
Let's chat about the Toronto Raptors. Nick Nurse has masterminded his squad into a well-oiled machine. They're an elite defensive unit who score the ball by committee on the other end of the floor. Kyle Lowry and Fred VanVleet are two high-energy guards that cause headaches for opponents all night. Serge Ibaka and Marc Gasol are two veteran bigs who remain consistent on both sides of the ball. And Pascal Siakam is evolving into a superstar right before our eyes. But what if I told you that the key to Toronto's success in the playoffs won't be any of these guys? In fact, it won't even be a guy that played in last season's run to the chip. Along with having one of the coolest names in the NBA, OG is a special talent on the basketball court. Kawhi's elite defensive abilities were a big factor in Toronto getting past the likes of Milwaukee, and this season it will be Anunoby's turn to step up to the challenge. He's 6'7" with an insane 7'2" wingspan. This, combined with his strength and speed, helps him lock down his opponents, as well as come up with steals that create transition buckets for his team. On the other end of the court, he's an efficient three-point shooter, hitting 39% of his attempts this season, and is a regular corner three threat in the Raptors offense. This spaces the floor for his teammates to create. He gets a ton of points from slashing to the basket and finishing with dunks. What's most encouraging for Raptor fans is that this season he's started to work on his dribbling. Combining his power and quickness with a few crafty moves off the dribble, he's turning into an elite scoring option for nights where Lowry or Siakam can't get it going. We've seen flashes of this potential throughout the bubble. He had a 23-point performance against the Lakers in a game where he did a great job on limiting LeBron's scoring. So now it's time to see if he can get it done when it counts. He'll be tasked with guarding opponents such as Jimmy Butler, Chris Middleton and Jaylen Brown, and the UK's finest looks ready for the challenge. The Raptors are notorious for their player development, and we're starting to see why in Toronto they've nicknamed OG Baby Kawhi. The 23-year-old from London could be the missing piece for the Raptors' second championship puzzle.
Man, OG, an interesting individual to say the least, but his production on the court cannot be doubted at this moment in time. So Ovie, I ask you, how much will he be a key contributor for the team going forward in the latter part of the NBA postseason?
I think he's going to be a key contributor for them moving forward for a while. Hopefully, if they can hold on to him, I think he's grown steadily, and the team's definitely obviously got a lot of faith in him. They put him on the bigger, stronger, the better wing players that they come up against. I think he definitely took a little bit of a lesson from, I think it was a floater LeBron might have hit over the top of him a couple of years ago, but he's taken absolute strides, man. And he's continued to improve for them. And I think him being able to show up when, their key guys maybe are having a slow night is going to prove important for them, because I think they do have a system that will always put guys in the right spots. But, on any given night, it's obviously just about making shots. And he's definitely coming along in that respect.
BJ, Ovie makes an interesting point there because he talks about his growth. I mean, he's a versatile wing now as a weapon, can hit the three-point shot, can attack the basket, can play hard-nosed, gritty defense. I mean, what is his ceiling, considering it's only technically his third year?
Well, besides having one of the coolest names, OG, you normally have to grow into that, right? But you say OG, and we all know what that means here. So, besides having this, probably the coolest name in sports, right? I just love saying his name, OG. He's really come into his own, and give this young man credit for one, having the perseverance, and he's playing one of the more difficult positions, the 2, the 3. That's primarily where all the scorers and very aggressive offensive players, and he's taken on the challenge defensively, and he's really put key elements in his game. He's shooting the corner 3. He's beginning to put it on the dribble, and he's taking on that challenge. And the most important thing is he's playing the game and making a contribution to winning. You develop good habits, and you can also develop bad habits. Well, this young man has been very lucky in this regard is that he's had an opportunity to learn from one of the best. You know, he saw Kawhi Leonard on a day-to-day basis. He's watching Siakam, and he's in a franchise, and he's getting excellent coaching that's allowing him to grow on and off the court. So I love what I'm seeing from this young man, and who knows where his game will finally end up. But every year you can best believe this. He's going to add something new to his game, and when he puts it all together, with the work ethic he has, I think he's going to be a very special player.
Well, we talk about in this league all the time about how the OGs have to kind of pass on their knowledge and experience onto the younger players. And he would have taken a lot from Kawhi Leonard last year, especially now that he's considered that replacement piece in that system. But how huge of an impact do you expect him to have this year?
His impact is going to be absolutely astronomical in this next second round series. You know, as a Boston Celtics fan, it's not a nice prospect to know that you're going to have OG Anunoby guarding one of your guys on the wings, because the Celtics rely on their perimeter scoring, and OG, I put him up there with the best wing defenders in the league. You see his impact anytime he's on the court for the Raptors. They're just an excellent defensive unit. His speed and his rotations on defense, he can cover a lot of ground very quickly. He can, when players want to isolate, he can lock them down one-on-one. He's a key cog in the defensive system for the Toronto Raptors. And the thing that's interesting to me is if you look at, you know, this is a third proper season. If you look at the career path of a Kawhi Leonard, you know, they call him Baby Kawhi up in the six. So if you look at the career path of a Kawhi Leonard, he's a guy who came in who was a defensive player. You know, they brought him in for his perimeter defense, and then he became like a 3-and-D kind of guy. You know, he was hitting those 3-pointers. And then, you know, he started to get more confident and started to move off the dribble. And watching OG, even in their final game of the first round, he only had 10 points, but the way in which he scored those, he had 2 backdoor cuts to the basket, which means he can read what the defense is doing very well because he gets a lot of points off those cuts. But a lot of the other buckets came off the dribble. You know, he was sizing up his man, putting together a few combo moves, taking it into the paint and finishing strong. So, you know, the growth that we've seen, because he wasn't doing that in previous seasons, the growth that we've seen with that aspect of scoring the basketball, if he can then go away in this offseason and put together a nice package of pull-up moves so that the defender isn't sure whether he's going to take it inside and use that strength or whether he's going to pull up and shoot the jumper, that's going to be the next step in his evolution. And if he can continue moving at this trajectory, then we're looking at 4 or 5 years' time. Maybe he's more than just a role player on a team. Maybe he's looking at being part of the big three, because I really think that OG has a lot of potential in his game.